Unlocking marital bliss.
You're so much welcome to Unlocking Marital Bliss with Miss Cyrus Rod. It's such a pleasure to always be here every Sunday afternoon, whereby we are able to have an opportunity to share with you, to talk to you, to hear from you, and it becomes so wonderful. We're glad that we can be able to reach out to millions and millions and millions and millions of viewers from this beautiful UBC, the big network. And we're glad that we are doing this from the prestigious Fairway Hotel in Kampala. Fairway Hotel in Kampala. We are honored to be part. And if you really are looking for a good place to have lunch, do whatever, any sort of hospitality business, Fairway Hotel is the place. And this afternoon, we're glad that the feedback is just too much. We're being overwhelmed. And we're glad that you people have been watching this show. You've been following. We really do acknowledge you guys from Zimbabwe, Malawi, Kenya, South Sudan, Tanzania, DRC, Burundi. My goodness. You guys are watching us, and the feedback is great. And even to the Ugandans, our home area, yes, our area code 256, you guys are amazing. And we really are responding to many of you. And let me just say this before we actually proceed. The number you see on your screen is for WhatsApp or text messages only. Please do not call that number. It's WhatsApp or text messages only. Do not call. When you try to call, it's overwhelming, overwhelming. So we repeat, do not call. Just send a text message and we will be glad to respond to you. We will be glad to reach out to you. And this afternoon, we have so many messages that have been coming in, and with what's been happening, and you guys from Zimbabwe, Malawi, you guys from Uganda, oh my goodness. It is, I'm looking at all these messages coming in, you know, and then you hear somebody's able to say, "Yeah, we're really blessed by this program. I'm learning how to love my wife. I'm learning how to be a man." All this stuff that is coming in. And with this, somebody's saying, "You're continuing to put in order my relationship and the things I've wanted her to adjust. I'm ready." You see all this coming in. And with some of the messages, you can bring in this feedback. Somebody's like, "Good afternoon. I heard you can change your wife. So can I be in a position to change a woman who has natural anger in her to the extent of not maintaining good relationships with everyone who comes in friendship with her?" Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. We'll be able to respond. Can you do that? Yes, you can. Then when you mention natural anger, everybody's got anger, but it's about not being able to control the anger, okay? Or letting anger control you. And because in the last episode, we talked about how do you love a woman? And many of you are like, yes. Because the reality is many of you don't know. But the question was, how do you love a woman? And then when we get to this, when the question is, how do you love a woman? And that's what we're going to continue with in this second episode. Allow me to say this. There's a lot of feedback. I can't pull everything up here. But there's something that is also happening, that kept happening. There's a young girls, hear me very well. Let me talk as a father, okay? Please keep away from this cross-generational sex. Keep away from these big daddies, sugar daddies, these big guys. Let me tell you, by the time a guy is walking away from his wife to come and sleep with you, a 22-year-old, a 24-year-old, an 18-year-old, a 25, a 30-year-old, no, 25, 22, 26-year-old, and he's abandoning his family, he's just stupid. And you are stupid when you go and think you're being loved, no, he don't love you. His lust is so overwhelming that he wants to use you. He doesn't love you. I'll be honest with you girls, because your messages have come in. Yes, he left his wife and was promising he's gonna marry me, but now he neglects me, he ignores me, he doesn't care about me anymore. Can you learn to keep away from these fools? Okay? Learn to keep away from these fools. Get it from me. They don't love you. Your only problem to some of you is to think they got the money, I can eat the money. It's got consequences, and the consequences are dire. Keep away. Tonight, you're going to get to know how a man can love a woman and what a woman can do. And I'm honored to say that I have my usual suspect. I have several of them. I got two of them, but one of them is with me in studio. And please, in order to go ahead, first welcome the one and only Brian Semfuma.
So glad to be back.
You're back, and a lot of people are like, yeah, our man Brian, what are you doing to people out there?
So glad to be back, and I'm still in the hot seat for men.
You're here to defend the men, to stand and speak on their behalf.
Men are struggling, men are suffering. No one can listen to them. Because we think a man's got it all together, figured out. So we can't complain, we can't throw tantrums, we can't, a man's got to do what a man's got to do.
A man's got to do what he's got to do. Let me tell you something. Let me ask you. You got it all figured out because everybody, why don't you just remove the mask? What's wrong with you, man? Just remove, because we're talking about how does a man love a woman. Why don't you remove the mask instead of complaining? You see, one thing I believe is I don't believe that there's this, as long as you think you are a victim, you can never change anything. Victims don't change anything. Okay?
Let me paint a picture for you. Today's society, or me growing up as a man, I'm watching my father culturally being the head of this family.
Okay.
And what that means is that I've watched my father provide for the home, telling my mother to sit down at home, take care of the children. So through the trends of me watching my father, I have seen him come home, get into the sitting room, grab a piece of paper, watch my mother run up and down, get everything sorted, his meals, he has to wash his hands from there, irrespective of there's a sink in the house. So I'm watching this, and my mother is not complaining. If she is, she's not complaining to me. So that's the picture I come with. And then when I'm of age, I am persuaded by my uncles, my father, why aren't you seeking out someone to marry? So in the back of my head, I have this model woman, this wife that is so humble, so respectful, so obedient, so responsive. And for me, my love has been taught, I go to work, come back, provide for her, sit back and watch her take care of me. And so that's the picture that I've been given. So when I go out there to search for a woman to love, because the topic is how do you love a woman? I've already been given a picture of how to love this woman. What more does this woman want, really?
So you already have this picture of bringing food at home while she stays at home. Now, yes, I really wouldn't blame you so much because that's the picture you've had. That's how you have literally been groomed based on your environment, because our environment really does affect us. The culture does affect us so much. But now we're living, that kind of style has not really bred something that people are enjoying, because marriage is supposed to be enjoyed. It shouldn't be a struggle. It shouldn't be a burden. And when it comes to loving a woman, it's got to be good, okay? Now, when you say this is how you've been brought up, you go, hunt, come home, provide, go hunt, come home, provide. You can do all that stuff, and we are living in a generation whereby even women can do the same. Okay, they can go, bring, and provide. That is so possible.
First pause right there. Women can go hunt and bring home and provide.
Yeah.
In this generation.
Yeah.
Men are struggling.
Now,
We'll come to that because you're still teaching something.
Now, look. Okay, men are struggling. Yes. Okay. Yes. You see, there's a reason that causes the men to struggle. Because God never ordained men to struggle in a relationship. It was supposed to be smooth. It was supposed to be a flow. There's no struggle. There's no, I'm trying to make it. Oh, I'm all alone. I've had that man aloners and all this nonsense. You see, when men are ignorant, they struggle. And like I said at the beginning, when you play victim, you can never overcome. The reason there's a trend now, everybody, like you said, everybody's almost complaining. Oh yeah, nobody cares for the men. Men have been deserted. And they believe that the more you complain about nobody cares for men, then all of a sudden you will change. No, the more you complain, it just shows how weak you are, and you are playing victim, that you can't help yourself. Okay? You're weak. You can't help yourself. You play victim and you start complaining. Because if you are blaming somebody else for where you are.
Let's start from there, Pastor Cyrus. I'm blaming someone else for where I am. Mm-hmm. Now the reason is this generation, since we are talking about this generation, a woman has already given you a blueprint of how she wants to be loved. I'm coming to that. You go out to this woman. She says, I want a man that can provide for me, that can offer security, that can give me what I need, that can start a business for me and run it. I want a man that has a 10-year plan for our children. I want a man that respects my family, respects my friends, respects my time. There's already a blueprint. So you go out to this woman. You can't be yourself. I can't be vulnerable. I come with a mask and say, hey, here I am Bill Gates. I can handle whatever you throw at me. Because the woman has already given you a blueprint. So trying to change that, you see, I love when you say that a man gotta clean the woman up. Yeah. I love that. You say it's a man's responsibility to help this woman change, because we are talking about loving a woman. Yes. Now here is a woman that is already made up her mind. She is stoic in whatever she deals with. She has been made up. Maybe she grew up with a single mom who said, you have to fend for yourself. Your money is your money. Don't waste your money on this. These men are arrogant. They are stupid. They are idiots. So save your money, hide it somewhere. And we are dealing with this kind. So I can't communicate. I can't reach out to her. So I have to have a mask.
No.
So you see where I'm coming from, Pastor.
I totally see your position right now. Yes. And that is where I want to help you from. Okay. You're coming in and you've set your whole life. You're looking at a woman. The first thing that hits you is fear. Okay. And this is something most people don't recognize here. And what you don't understand is that the woman is being driven by fear too. Yes, I need a man who has all these traits you have mentioned are actually a blueprint of who Jesus is.
You can say that again. I need to.
All these traits you've mentioned are a blueprint of Christ Jesus. Okay. All these traits. The providing, the security, the faithfulness, the 10-year plan. That's destiny, where you're going. You're dreaming of Jesus. You're fantasizing about true love, but you're trying to look for it from a man.
Fallen one, for that.
A fallen man. Okay? Because you are being manipulated by your hormones, by your feelings. Your fears have taken over, because every man, every person born of a woman is born in fear, because we're born in sin. Okay?
So I hear you, Pastor Cyrus. So how do I come to a point as a man to defeat this fear? Because
this is where I'm taking you. So you grow up in fear, okay? And now the culture tells you every woman, ooh, you don't just approach. Women in our generation are so tough. Women, you don't know. So now you brace yourself, okay? And you put on a mask because you fear to be rejected. You got the fear of rejection. The fear of rejection pushes you to come up with a mask. A mask, that means you project an image that will be accepted, but as for you, you're still a reject.
you're hitting us so hard.
I'm showing you. You pull forth your mask, you mask yourself up. This is the image that this woman is going to accept, okay? Because this image you're pulling up, the so-called Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos' image is over here, but the real you is not here. So you're selling your image. An image cannot love. The real you is still behind, full of fear.
Okay, I get that point. But don't you think that someone is dictating to me how I need to approach them?
No, even if they are dictating, so if somebody's dictating how I should approach them when it comes to relationship, when it comes to loving her, and they dictate, you gotta be smart enough, wise enough to know, why do they dictate? They dictate this way because they fear rejection, they fear failure, so they have to come up with a mask too to protect themselves. So there is nothing like love. I'm afraid men are horrible, so I better protect myself.
I like the choice of words you've used right there. You've not mentioned to be man enough. You've not mentioned it.
No.
Because if I'm dictated to, I shouldn't be man enough. I should just be smart.
You have to be wise.
I have to be wise.
Why is she throwing this at me? Where is she coming from? I got to know that she's coming from a sense of fear, of uncertainty. You give me a plan of 10 years, a place of uncertainty. You get me? She's afraid. And now how do I break the fear out? I've got to bring in unconditional love. Unconditional love is what breaks this fear of rejection. That's why unconditional love can allow me to be me. Okay. If I don't have unconditional love, I cannot be me. And that's why I put up a mask. And she also puts up a mask.
Before you go so far, I like what I'm hearing because it's educating me as a man in this seat right here. But I love what you have said, that a woman also has a mask.
Thank you.
And because of that, I heard of a response where a man said, these women are always angry. She's naturally bitter.
Naturally angry.
Naturally angry. So when I'm hearing you, I'm hearing this, that a woman puts up a mask and she will defend it.
Yeah.
At least you have defended us men.
Yeah.
That it's not our fault. This woman is defending that mask. I can't seem to get to her.
You can't seem to get to her.
So I want to understand that unconditional. Does unconditional love work in this woman's case?
That's all she's looking for.
Why doesn't she come out and say, I need
because she doesn't even know that that's what I'm looking for. She doesn't even know the deficiency she has. Okay. Neither does the man who puts up a mask know that this is a deficiency. The fear of rejection. Okay. You get me? So what happens is...
But I feel I'm okay. I feel I am confident. Even when I go to stand before people, I am very confident. I articulate my points very well. My boss has just told me you are the best worker we have, employee we have. You just won the employee of the month. I mean, I am very bold.
Let me tell you something, Brian. You just won the employee of the month. You are bold. You are confident. Yes. You got all these awards and whatever, appraisals and all that stuff. You're always on top. That doesn't make you a man.
What?
That does not make you a man. Appraisals and all this. Look at Bill Gates. Look at Bill Gates. The man can't handle one woman. Look at Jeff Bezos, can't handle one woman. It's not that the women are horrible, you can't be with them. It's because I am full of fear, and then I'm trying to come up with my mask, then we connect, and when I come up with my mask, there is no love, it's only fear. And this is what happens. We cannot connect. And when the connection fails, you see, I keep on demanding for certain things, demanding for certain behaviors. So when the connection fails, the next thing that happens is I want out. But you never really get to know the depth of who I am.
First, hold on right there. I mean, I have dated this woman. I'm using that same word, dated, which you'll correct. This woman for 3 years.
Yeah.
In the 3 years, I have connected. I have spent myself. Because I've been taught that you have to be the best version of yourself for this woman to be able to accept you and understand that you're willing to love her. She wanted to continue school. I paid the bill. She wanted her mom to be taken for operation in India. I supported. She wanted to start a business. My name is in that business. I have spent myself for 3 years straight.
Brian, you spent your resources. You never spent you.
Okay.
You spent your resources. It's so, men are quick to spend resources, but spending me means loving them. Loving the woman. You see, I can spend my resources without spending me.
I'm hearing you.
And this is what 99% of the dudes do. They will give you all the money, but they'll never give you themselves.
Because the woman doesn't want me.
No, because you don't want you. You're so afraid of you that you can't even give you to anyone because you believe you is going to be rejected.
Imagine.
You're so afraid of you, you can't give you to anyone.
Imagine I've told this woman, I've not been paid yet.
Yeah.
So I pray that you hold on a bit because I don't have the money right now.
Okay.
And then she throws the tantrum. She won't pick my calls. Her messages are short. How are you, my darling? How was your day? Fine.
Brian.
What's the program today? Can we meet today? I don't know. They're so short until you put another message. I just got some money. Can we meet? Oh, and then the messages begin to flow. Oh, my dear, you're so sweet. Where are you right now? So, how do I?
Where are you right now is what Brian is saying. He's saying you women, your communication is fluctuating between, between resources now.
And myself.
Because you've never given. We're going to find out in a minute exactly why are your messages fluctuating.
Unlocking marital bliss. Unlocking marital bliss.
We'll be back. You're still watching Unlocking Marital Bliss with me, Cyrus Rod. It's always a pleasure to have you here this Sunday afternoon. And by the time we took a break, Brian had just thrown in some of the things, and he said when we begin talking, and then she shuts down because she never got the money. And then when I tell her that I've received some cash, then the communication flows again. Well, what's the cause of all this? You see, this is where most of the men are failing, and this is where most men do not know love, and they're totally failing. I mentioned earlier on of what is called unconditional love, which is perfect love. Now, a lot of losers out there, ignorant people, believe there's nothing called perfect love, but if it wasn't there, the Bible would never have mentioned it, okay? This is God's order. So everything has a system. If you fail the system, every other thing will just crumble, okay? According to God, when it comes to a man loving a woman, before a man loves a woman, a man needs to know how much he's loved
By who?
by God. So a man must discover who created me, okay? Discover who created you, and that means you discover the origin, okay? The source. So you are not independent. You don't own your life. You don't do as you wish. Somebody brought you here for a purpose. And because they brought you here for a purpose, you will never find rest until you connect to the one who brought you here. It wasn't your mama. It wasn't your papa. It was God. So you need a connection, a personal relationship with God that is triggered or built by faith in God, okay? That begins with faith in Christ. When you have faith in Christ, who died for your sins and becomes Lord, you're developing a relationship. I tell people to have a relationship with God, faith is having a relationship with God, okay? Belief is having a relationship with an ideology or ideas. What God needs is faith, having a relationship with Him. So when you're having a relationship with Him, it's a direct connection of love, unconditional love. So you discover how much He has loved you unconditionally, irrespective of sin and everything. So you realize you're accepted by Him. When you discover you're accepted by Him, you understand unconditional love. Okay? A second, when you understand unconditional love, now you're filled with it. The fear of rejection is dispelled, is kicked out of your life. Now you're confident, you're full of love, you know how much He has loved you. Now you are good to go, not to find somebody to love you, but to find somebody you can give the unconditional love that you've received from God. And then you're willing to give it out to the other party. You will be ready to love even the worst of women.
I don't have a question about that. You've taught really well. I only have this to say. Here I am, waiting on God, having faith in God. I'm built up. I find this woman on the opposite side.
Yeah.
So I start dispensing this love. I start to dispense.
Yeah.
And 2-3 years down the road, she's not changing. She's consistent in her stubbornness. Either I give her money or I just move on. So, Pastor Cyrus, I know last week you talked about talking to your dear wife and she walked out on you and you stayed the course. Now, many of us men don't have that grace. I understand the fact that I need to be ready. I don't know how long that takes for a man to be soaked into God's love, to be able to dispense His love to this woman who, like you said, is afraid.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what love is. Mm-hmm. Yet she thinks because of the soaps they watch, she knows what love is. Mm-hmm. She has an idea of how she wants to be loved. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how to ask this question, but you get my feeling. Yeah. How do this unconditional love where you stop right there, how do I dispense it for this woman not to just walk out on me and I still feel, well, I did my part. Maybe let me move on because I'm so confident now. Yeah. I don't fear rejection. Please, you can move on. Yeah. How do I stay the course and say, this is the woman for me?
You see, Brian, you've spent 3 years with this girl and she doesn't appear to change. Yes. Okay? 3 years. You've done everything. She doesn't appear to change. Like you said, you've given her money. Now, Brian, this is where the error is with us men. I mentioned this over and over. You can give without loving, but you can never love without giving. So this is what happens. Most men will complain she never changes. There's one error. If you ever see your spouse as somebody who never changes, they will never change.
I'm getting you right there. So if I'm a man and I keep seeing the wrong only.
If you keep focusing on the wrong, I'm telling you, you're going to discover even more wrongs. But if you realize, I love this girl, she can be better. There's something called patience. That's love. You see this thing of being a man, you don't even talk about patience. You don't even understand it. Patience, I would bring it so close, is me seeing the final picture of you and saying, no matter what is happening in between, I am not quitting on you because I have the final picture of you and I want you to get there. That's patience. Yes. And when I am loving a woman, I need to learn. She sends me a message, I need this money. And then I say, I don't have it. And then she goes silent until I get the money. Yes. This is where the problem is. When she goes silent, call her and say, I have something for you. Sit her down. She thinks you're going to give her money. And tell her, I want to teach you what love is. It's not about the money. If all you look at when you see me is money, you will never get me. You will use me as a thing, as a product. But if you see the person, the patience, the kindness, the love that I'm offering, money is going to come in. The love of money is the root of all evil. We can't focus on money. First focus on God and then me.
Let me give you Pastor Cyrus, first of all, right there. I love what you're saying, but this looks like you, Pastor Cyrus. No. Now, the man out there, I mean, before you come in, the man out there is not going to be given 3 minutes to even, the moment you say, I'm not going to give you money, I'm going to give you me. The woman has already walked out.
Thank you.
Because her board members have just told her, that guy is useless.
Now look at this. If the woman walks out, look at this, eh? If the woman does what? Walks out. Be patient. Call her again. Okay. If she stops taking your calls, glory to God. She has walked out. You haven't married her. She has walked out. The error most men do, they lower their standard of love in order to accommodate the woman because they fear to lose the woman. Okay? You never love a woman by losing who you are.
So is this what you're saying to me? Is this connection? Are you talking about how do you connect with this woman who is bitter, who is angry? I mean, any slight thing she will bust up.
A soft answer turns away wrath. Okay. A woman who's bitter and angry has a history. Try to understand the history.
If she's willing to give it.
Yes, and the only way she can be willing to give it is when you are willing to give yours. Most women will not open up if you do not open up. Man, you're the initiator, you're the head.
She's just told me if I ever find a man who has slept with 3 women, it's over. I mean, I've been changed.
No, you don't live in fear. Don't allow fear to come and say, this is who I am, but God. Always have God in the whole setting. But God has set me free. Okay? God has delivered me. When I met my woman, I told you I was a bad boy before I ever came to Christ. I was a bad boy. Okay? The worst of the worst. The greatest of sinners. Okay? And when I met my woman, it was like the devil meeting with the angel of God. Okay? And I told her, before I came to Christ, I was bad. This is how horrible my life was. Are you still going to stick with me? Because I really love you. God has changed me. She looked at me and said, yeah, I will. So from the beginning, when you reject fear and you are honest, 99.99999% of women are looking for an honest man, but they don't know how to find one. So they put up all these demands as some form of protection from dishonesty. They want to control you. But why are they doing that? They've not known unconditional love. When you don't know unconditional love, you settle for fear. And how does fear manifest? Fear manifests as manipulation. How do I use you to get what I want? Now, most relationships and most people are not connecting. They are in manipulation. Maybe I could say manipulationship instead of a relationship. I'm in fear, she's in fear. How do I use you?
How do I get what I need to get?
What I need to get by using you.
Look at this, Pastor Cyrus. Look at,
So there's no even serving one another. We don't serve one another.
maybe you need to highlight for me how a man that you've described before Christ, who was a bad boy, because I think all of us have been in that category. And then Christ meets you, and then you meet this angel. Maybe you describe that, how the process, how you make the process easy for this woman to understand and connect to you. But here is the thing, before you get there. Here is this man that is so full of fear. He has been rejected before. And he's now moved on. He's now found someone who he feels I can connect with. I feel this woman is the right woman, because they're friends first, right?
Yes.
The family pretty much loves this woman.
Okay.
The mom has highlighted that, Brian, I think she's good for you. So everyone is telling me she's good for me. But she's grown up in my community. She knows a little history about me. So she now wants to get which you called, she wants to get her own interests. She because she knows my family probably is well-to-do, and her family is just coming up. It's not really a middle-class group. It's really low.
Yes.
So she feels like if I marry this guy, I'm marrying into money.
Yes.
So she has her interests.
Yes.
Now here I am, I've been transformed. Remember, I was rejected before. Now I'm transformed. Christ has changed me. I am looking at her as a potential, because everyone thinks she's potential.
Okay.
So you hear where I'm going?
Yes.
How do I communicate? She knows my background. How do I communicate to connect so that this true love, this perfect love, can be shared with this kind of woman?
You see, the greatest thing is to first and foremost realize that if God has accepted me the way I was, I accept this woman the way she has been brought to me. So I've been given responsibility to love her, cultivate her, bring the best out of her, not for me to use. And the best thing is to begin by being vulnerable. I open myself up to her. Let me tell you, women will tear down walls when they see vulnerability. The problem with men is they're governed, many men are governed by, living this coward life. The cowardice stuff is really taking over. And what happens is they look at a woman and they're like, if I tell her everything, because they've had somebody say, if you tell her everything, she will weaponize it against you. So they stop the connection. But that's how cowards live. Oh, I'm going to be weaponized. This will be weaponized. They live in fear. Okay? But I want to show you something. I told this woman, my wife now, everything that nobody would take him.
Maybe she comes from a different kind of...
And you see, when men are victims, they always find excuses why they can't love a woman. She comes from a different setting. She's of a different generation. Yeah. She was amazing. Yeah. She had a super blessing. Yeah. No.
She's lived in the Western world.
She's lived in the West. Well, no. What she missed and what she needed was love. And this is the work that we must do as men. Okay? Cultivate her, develop her. The problem is that most men, the moment you see a woman, you want to get in her pants. That's all. And then after that, you begin complaining. And when she sees you, you want to get in her pants. Then she will play you, manipulate one another, and then you get it in bed. When that is done, then you say, oh, she used me. Oh, no. No, they just beat you at a game. That's all. They just beat you at a game. You lost. You lost. One was better than you. So what happens is this. When you meet her, be vulnerable from the word go. The problem is you come as Bill Gates from the word go. You don't have a
She's
foundation.
already put that mask.
No, you don't have a foundation. Let me tell
So
you
how do I
something.
remove that mask?
To me, it doesn't really matter. You might be the president of a nation, okay? And if I have the excess and you're the one I want to marry and you're not married and you're the one I'm going to marry because I know who God is, being president doesn't mean you know love. No, being a billionaire woman and a billionaire doesn't mean you understand love. But let me teach you what love is. I will come to you and show you confidence. I may not have the money, but I'll show you that I'm not here to use you. I'm here to protect you. I'm here to defend you. I'm here to cover you. Look at the woman in the Bible who was a prostitute, very beautiful woman, but was a prostitute, prominent prostitute, who had a perfume, a whole year's wage. So you can imagine how many men she slept with, okay, to buy this kind of perfume, a whole year. And at the end of the year, she has this perfume. Then she one time sees a man so confident, full of love. For the first time in her life, she was looking at a man who never wanted to get in her pants. A man who was willing to protect her, defend her, preserve her, cover her, accept her the way she is, wash her, clean her up, and make her shine again for the first time. And you know what? How she responded? How she responded? She broke a whole perfume costing a whole year's wage. She looked at it and said, this is nothing when it comes to this man.
I hear you.
Look at this. This is nothing when it comes to this man. And the moment a man knows how to be vulnerable and a woman discovers this guy don't want to use me, I'm telling you, she will never have she money. She will never have fear. Even when she's been angry all her life, she will begin to tone down. When she yells at you and you grab her and you say, I love you. I know your heart. But women, it's a choice we must make. As men, we must make this choice to love a woman. When she comes in anger and all that, grab her and tell her, do you know, Brian, it's so hard to fight with somebody who you're hugging? You can't. No, you grab her and say, baby, I love you. And I'll always be here for you. I understand. You may have understood me. This may have happened, but you are mine. Give her the assurance. She will break down in your arms. Do you know how many women want to cry in the arms of their lover?
I hear you.
Oh, man. Brian, what we men are missing is we are not opening up. We don't know how to love, how to reach out. When she throws a tantrum, we run. When she's angry, we run. And then we hang out with our fellow losers, the boys. And then you see, we walk in hards. And we keep this hard mentality. Women are terrible. And you just don't know how to love her.
Maybe I didn't find the right one.
No. There's nothing like I didn't find the right one. The thing is, you're trying to play victim and blame every other thing for your failure to cultivate and clean her and love her.
I have one more question. As a man sitting here, you've talked about cleaning, and I really, really hear you.
Yes.
I really hear you.
Yes.
As men, we've forsaken our responsibility and blamed the outcomes on someone else.
Yeah.
We've forfeited what we need to do in the initial stages.
Yes.
I initiate. I start. I set the pace.
Yes.
So we've forsaken that, and I understand that. Mm-hmm. So how do you clean a woman? Because you've talked about cleaning, and I want to, before we go, delve deep into the cleaning bit. How do I clean this woman who is so intentional on keeping her mask?
Now, I'll tell you something. There's years ago before I got saved, in our days, we used to write music.
Yes.
You get a book, and then you listen to that tape, then you play it back, then you get the words and all that. But there was a song I think it was done by Whitney Houston. And she said, "You break down my walls with the strength of your love." You know? I think it was like, "I have nothing if I don't have you. You break down my walls with the strength of your love." Let me tell you, I broke down the walls my wife had with the strength of my love.
How does that look like?
If you're going to clean a woman,
Okay.
words,
Words.
how you speak to her, what you say to her is part of cleaning her up. When she's so bitter and throwing tantrums, you don't say you're like your mother. You don't abuse. Use words that build, words that have kindness. Have a kind tongue. Because you're a waster. You brought curses to my house. You're not cleaning. You're spoiling your own house. With your own hands, you're tearing down your own house as a man.
Thinking when I met you, you don't equally look.
Those words do not clean a woman, and they do not show love. Cleaning are the words full of kindness, grace, that are able to salt, preserve her, grace, even where she doesn't deserve it. You show her the kindness, because that's where love is. When she's cruel, you be kind. You do not react. You always respond. That's what love is. That's how you're loving her. You're cleaning her. One time, my woman had this. She would do something wrong, and when I would show it to her, she would explain it so good that I ended up being the one to blame.
That's where I wanted to come.
So, and one time I was like, "God, what's going on? This is not about me, it's about her." And God said, "Go and tell her I love you so much. I love you so much. When you're good, as much as when you're bad. Though it can make me sad, I still love you." And I went and I said, "God," but she knows I love her. I said, "No, God, tell it to her." And I went and I said, "Hey, honey," right after she had defended herself, I said, "Hey, honey, I want you to know that I love you so much. When you're good as much as when you're bad. Though it can make me sad, but I still love you. You don't have to defend yourself. And when you're wrong, it doesn't mean you're ugly. When you're wrong, don't equate your beauty to your error. No, I still love you. You're beautiful in my eyes." That's the time all this nonsense of self-defense ended.
I think I get you. Many times we the men, make this woman feel rejected.
Yeah.
We make her feel so dirty. We make her feel unwanted. So guilty. What she does is put up a defense,
Thank you.
a wall, and many times she wants to play the emotional card of,
Yes.
"I will walk away,
Yes.
and you run after me."
Yes.
So I get you very well right there.
Now that's
So
you've said
how
it
do
so
you
well.
how do you toughen? Because the first set you talked about, love also directs. Love, gives counsel. I mean, if someone
corrects.
does wrong, it corrects.
Yes.
So how do you vary those two? How do you balance?
You see, when you're correcting out of love, you're not criticizing negatively. A lot of people, when correction comes, because they are not grounded in love, they see it as an attack. They see it as an attack, and they come to defend themselves. That's why even many men, when you correct a man, he sees it as an attack and begins to defend himself, begins to shut down. But that doesn't make you a great man. It just makes you a coward. Okay? When your wife corrects you and you begin shutting down, you're destroying the connection. You're just becoming a coward. In other words, do not listen to reply. Listen to apply. You get this? Because most in a relationship, when the wife comes and tells you A, B, C, you're just waiting for her to stop so you can reply.
Yeah.
Rather listen, understand, so you can apply. How do I apply this? She's raised a point, or maybe she misunderstood me, and then you're able to say, "I think you misunderstood this. This is how it was meant to be." And then with that, you are able to calm down, you build a communication. Do not live in fear whereby you listen to apply because you think, to reply because you think you're being attacked. So you want to defend yourself. Make yourself so vulnerable that you can even be attacked and you still respond in love. But the fear of being attacked is why men say, oh, she will use it against me, so I will not talk. You're not loving her. Love her and teach her that never use this against someone. It's called love.
So the way to love a woman, if I'm hearing correctly, for us men, is to first be vulnerable. That's the very first thing. When I become,
Vulnerable to God makes me vulnerable to you.
To this person.
Yeah.
So in that space of being vulnerable, I shouldn't be afraid of her picking out something that I think she might use against me in the future. I need to be consistent.
Thank you. Don't fear. Why should you fear? Perfect love casts out all fear. So when fear comes in, that ain't love.
Because
Always
then,
be sure
if
of
I
that.
continue like this, then she'll begin to read that this is true love.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. She'll begin to read that this is true love. She will begin to understand. That's how I've been with my wife 20 years down the road.
A man is asking right now, how long is how long? How long do I have to put up with?
If you ask how long, you haven't stepped into love.
Okay.
When you step into love, you don't ask how long. And allow me to say this. I know our time is gone. Let me tell you something. When a man disconnects with God, he will never succeed with a woman. He will never connect with a woman. It will be failure. When you disconnect with God, she will never trust you. So this whole thing where men are saying, oh, she doesn't love me. Oh, she wants also my money, only my money. Have you connected with God? If you connect with God, she will fall in place. If you don't, she will fight you so bad. Oh, man. Brian, give us your last word, your last take. How do you love a woman?
How do you love a woman? This seat is really hot. I know men, you've been saying you're struggling, you are facing it rough. But listen, this is what I have learned over the years, that we are the initiators of love. We are supposed to connect with the one who began that office. He understands you very well, you man. He knows what he put in you. He knows the purpose he's given you. So when you trust him and connect, you will not be afraid of connecting with anyone out here. God bless you.
Amen. You've heard it from Brian. It's always a pleasure to have you here, Brian. And it's always a pleasure to have you, our viewers. Please keep watching and follow us on YouTube. Many of these episodes are on YouTube. Unlocking Marital Bliss. Please follow us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and your life will not remain the same. A lot of teachings, a wealth of teachings. And remember, as I sign out, marriage is easy. Ignorance is hard.
Unlocking marital bliss.